India has officially become the fourth largest economy in the world.
Fourth largest economy.
One part of India is celebrating,
चौथी इकोनॉमी बने,
but the other part is bleeding. While we have overtaken UK and Japan on paper, why is the fourth largest economy ranked 130th in the human development and living standards? While news headlines scream that we are developing, there are still millions who walk miles just to get pot of water. We have created two categories in one India. The first category lives in mansions and flies business class. The second category is trying to survive with just 400 rupees a month. We built a new parliament building in Delhi with an estimated cost of over 1000 crores. Yet, located within just 10 kilometers of that same parliament, people still lack access to toilets and children don't have access to proper schools.
ये हमारे देश का पार्लियामेंट हाउस है और यहीं से सिर्फ लगभग 10 किलोमीटर दूर एक एरिया है। डब्बा लेकर आती हो से अपना, पानी नहीं है यहाँ पे शौचालयों में, यहाँ पे पानी नहीं आता नल में जब आप करते हो।
So in this video, I am going to break down exactly why the fourth largest economy cannot provide basic facilities like water, education and toilets to its own people. To understand the problem, you have to understand the operating system of Indian politics. The problem isn't that politicians don't know how to develop the country, but the problem is timeline. If they build an world-class education system, it will take 15 years to show results, but the election happens every 5 years. No politician wants to plant the tree if the next guy gets to eat the fruit. So instead of focusing on long-term problems, they spend your money on short-term painkillers like cash outs, freebies and massive marketing campaigns. State governments have turned India into a freebie auction house. According to reports, states are spending lakhs of crores to buy your vote just before the polling day. Take Bihar for example. Just before the elections, the government announced the Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, transferring 10,000 directly to the bank accounts of 94 lakh women. They call it empowerment. But when you give money right before the election instead of building a factory to create long-term jobs, it's not empowerment, it's a transaction. It's not just one party or one state. This is a national-wide competition. In Madhya Pradesh, they send 1500 every month for women. That will cost this state 18,000 crores every single year. That is bigger than their entire budget for building schools. In Karnataka, free bus rides, free electricity and monthly cash. The estimated cost is over 50,000 crores a year. Due to this, the state has no money to fix the potholes in Bangalore. In Punjab, they promised free electricity. In AP and Telangana, same as Karnataka, offering same freebies. These are not welfare schemes, these are traps. They take 100 from your pocket in taxes and keep 40 for corruption and give you back 10 rupees as freebie and you celebrate it. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Isn't this money helping the poor? Doesn't a struggling family need that 1,000? Yes, they do, but at what cost? This is where we need to understand the most dangerous concept in economics. Opportunity cost. Every rupee spent on a freebie is a rupee stolen from development. When a government gives you cash today, they are essentially taking away your child's education or hospital tomorrow. In Bihar, India's poorest state, 33% of population is trapped in multidimensional poverty. So, just before the 2025 elections, what did the government do? They pulled a master stroke. They launched Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. 10,000 cash transferred straight to 94 lakh women. The total cost is staggering 9,400 crores. The result, the strategy worked and NDA swept the polls. But the reality, do you know what 9,400 crores could have actually built? 1 lakh new schools and clinics, 50,000 kilometers of rural roads, new factories and many more such developments. Instead, they gave a one-time business grant. The women spend the money in months. The poverty has returned and the cycle repeats again and again. Bihar didn't need cash, it needed factories. But the government chose elections over development. It's not just Bihar. Take Karnataka. The state slashed the capital expenditure by 20%. It means the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, drowns in potholes and traffic because there is no money left for roads. It is the same story everywhere. Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, AP, and Telangana. These governments aren't solving poverty, they are subsidizing it. They give you a fish so you vote for them, but they refuse to teach you how to fish because if you learned, you wouldn't need them anymore. We have traded our airports, our schools, and our hospitals for a monthly recharge coupon. That is the opportunity cost. If schemes are how the government buys your vote, the statues are how they buy your pride. They package them as national achievements or tourism boosters. But the math tells a very different story. Let's look at the Statue of Unity. It is the tallest statue in the world, a marvel of engineering. The cost roughly 3,000 crores. But here is the brutal contrast. In the same state of Gujarat, over 1 crore people survive on BPL ration cards. Reports show that in rural areas near to that statue, families are surviving on an expenditure of just 26 to 32 rupees a day. Think about this image. A 180-meter giant towering over villagers who cannot afford basic food, healthcare, and schooling for their kids. The statue stands tall. The people stand hungry. Is this development or is it mockery? Now the government line is simple. It will boost tourism. It will pay for itself. Let's check the books to find out whether it pays or not. In a good year, the statue earns about 70 to 100 crores in revenue. But the maintenance cost alone runs into tens of crores. At this rate, even with optimistic math, it will take decades just to recover the cost. Global tourism data proves that if you spend that same money on better roads, airports, and hotels, that would have created far more jobs and better tourism. But roads aren't glamorous on camera, statues are. And don't think this is just one party or one state. This is the favorite game of Indian politics, be it Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, or Telangana. They spend hundreds to thousands of crores for these statues. That money could have funded hundreds of new schools in backward districts. It could have built lakhs of houses for those living in mud shelters. Instead, what did the poor actually get? Maybe a temporary daily wage job at the construction site. A monument they can never even visit because the ticket price plus travel cost is more than their entire week earnings. They tell you statues are our pride. They put us on an old map. But in reality, pride is meaningless when crores of our citizens earn 30 rupees a day and children drop out of school. A nation's real pride is not when a statue touches the sky. It is when every child can go to decent school, a day's wage can feed a family, and it is when a father doesn't have to choose between medicine and food. We are building world-class monuments for a third-class reality. So we have politicians wasting money on fake schemes and massive statues. But the scariest question is who is paying for all of that? Spoiler alert, it's not billionaires, it's you. This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the K-shaped recovery. The government loves to show you GDP number because it goes up. But GDP is an average and averages lie. In a K-shaped economy, one arm goes up and the other arm comes down. The arm that goes up is the billionaires, the stock market, and the big corporations. The arm that comes down is the small businesses, the salaried people, and the poor people. Let's look at the data from 2023. The top 1% Indians now hold over 40% of nation's total wealth. That is the highest level historically, even higher than the British era. Meanwhile, the bottom 50%, the half country holds just 3 to 6% of wealth. In simple words, the billionaires' wealth grew by over 280% in the last 8 years. Your income, it barely kept up with inflation. But this did not happen by accident. It happened by design. It's called Robin Hood in reverse. They take from the poor to give to the rich. In 2019, the government cut corporate tax from 30% to 22%. This saved big companies roughly 1.5 lakh crore every single year. That is the money government gave up. But the government still need money to run right. So where did they recover that loss from? You. They increased indirect taxes. You pay GST on milk, curd, and even the food you eat. You pay nearly 100 for a liter of petrol, where 60 to 80% is just tax. Think about it. A daily wage laborer buying a biscuit packet pays the same tax percentage as a billionaire. But the billionaire gets the tax cut on his business profits. But the laborer gets inflation on his food. This is the reality of fourth largest economy. We don't have one country, we have two countries. where one gets tax cuts, airports, and the stock market gains, and the other gets inflation, struggle, and GST. The cleverest trick that the system ever pulled was using GDP of India's A to convince India B that we are a superpower. I did not make this video to make you angry. I made it to light a fuse. We have seen the truth. The schemes are just cash that burns in months. The statues are dust collectors built on your money. The K-shaped recovery is a rigged game where rich take the rocket and you become the roadkill. And here is the harsh truth. The political parties, no matter the flag, thrive on your chains. They profit from poverty, freebies, buy your silence, and the headlines hide your hunger. They want you to be dependent, because a man who feeds himself doesn't need to beg for a vote. If you truly want our country to grow, stop demanding freebies, demand factories. The next time a politician offers you cash, ask him, where is my job, where is industry? And please don't sell your future for a bus ticket. This video was just a spark, and the fire has to come from you. If you refuse to be a statistic in India B, start questioning. Let's stop celebrating the headlines and start building our country. Because we love India, it is our home, and nobody is gonna fix our home except us. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and most importantly, rise. Thanks for watching.